What's a quote that has just stuck with you? You can't make a racehorse out of a pig. But you can make a very fast pig. How sad it is that we give up on people who are just like us. Mr. Rogers. The world breaks everyone, and after, many are strong at the broken places. Ernest Hemingway. Isn't it funny how day by day nothing changes, but when we look back, everything is different. If you don't know what you want, you end up with a lot you don't. If you loan someone $20 and you never see them again, it was probably worth it. Wherever you go, there you are. When I realized it isn't necessarily a positive thing, you can pack up and move as far away as possible to start a better life and still be miserable because that's the problem in your life. I was drinking with a friend of mine years ago and he mentioned how in gardening, some people dig holes in their flower beds and put pint glasses in with a little bit of beer in the bottom. At night the slugs smell the beer, go over the lip, fall and then get trapped and drown in the beer. Then he said something like, sometimes I think we're the slugs. There is no sadder sight than a young pessimist. Mark Twain. For riding motorcycles, don't dress for the ride, dress for the slide. What is the scariest thing you've ever seen while driving at night? Someone I knew locally came across a Jeep that had just crashed into the ditch on a highway at night, flipped on its top, wheels still turning kind of thing. He was the first on scene, so called 911 and ran down into the ditch. The driver, who was badly mangled, had been tossed from the car and was dying. This guy held him and the driver died in his arms. The weirdest part of it all was that he found out the next day that it was his cousin, but he hadn't been able to recognize him. I was following a gray Toyota Tundra in a massive blizzard through Montana on McDonald Pass. He was going pretty quick most of the way but must have been unfamiliar with how steep the final few miles are. He got away from me as I slowed down to about 35. Not 5 minutes later I passed his tire marks in the fresh snow that went off the side of the mountain. Pulled over and looked down to see his truck upside down and on fire about 300 yards down. Called 911. He didn't die but was burned up pretty bad. Sad and scary, and don't go 50 in the snow just because you have a truck or 4WD. Driving down a 2-lane divided highway. I came up to a couple semis and went into the left lane to pass. I did a shoulder check to get back into the right lane when I saw headlights in front of me. In my lane. The car was going the wrong way. I managed to swerve into the ditch, felt like I was mere centimeters from death. Thought my wife's scream would be the last thing I ever hear. And I never want to hear it again. The semis I passed all pulled to the shoulder to come check on us. Didn't see the car anywhere. I think they just kept going. Had to pull into a gas station after and collect myself. Edit. Rephrased to make less confusing. An asshole overtaking a petrol tanker around a blind corner, coming my way. Scared the shit out of me. I had just finished driving for Uber and was driving down the access road to my home around 3 a.m. when I saw a body lying completely lifeless next to one of those motorized scooters. I pulled over and flagged down his buddies who were drunk and kept going without realizing their friend was lying on the ground. Ambulance arrived and took the kid away, but I never came to find out if he made it. *CK those scooters, man. A closed Waffle House. I got off on my exit, and the whole road was covered in blood. I put on my brights and saw a bisected body of a large animal. It just made me so sad. A lonely abandoned shack with a bunch of arrows pointing to it. Saying come in. Frogs. Fucking. Everywhere. Like hundreds of frogs all over the road. I dropped my GF off the night we saw the Mothman Prophecies. It wasn't a super scary movie, but it had some scares. I take the interstate home. On the way, there is a curve where there aren't any lights. Just a dark stretch of interstate. As I came around the bend, there was a guy in a black trench coat walking along the side of the road. As it was about 3 a.m., I guess I started him. So, when my headlights hit him, he whipped around and I swear he stared me right in the eyes. My heart jumped into my throat. The whole event lasted maybe 2 seconds tops, but it had my heart racing. Not paranormal, but definitely scary for me. People of Reddit with so's, how? You just kinda pick a human and hope they pick you too. And then you keep picking them every day, even on days you may not really want to. You just, kind of eat meals with them and cook for them and hope they find you cute enough even though they already made it clear that they do. And then later on you actually open up yourself to them, and when they do the same you try not to judge them and ease them out of their shell and try to reassure them constantly, but also making it clear that while their insecurities are heard and valid, they can't keep on projecting it to you. So you just learn how to better people by keeping it healthy, and you become better at handling each other. And then you eat more meals together. It's nice. Hi, do you want to go on a date? Yeah. Okay. She posted on her Snapchat story a picture of her monitor for her PC rig. I complimented it and said I had the same one, sent her a picture of mine. Got to talking about our rigs and I asked her out. Found out a couple months in that we don't even have the same monitor. Mine's Asus, hers is Acer. She pretended not to notice. She followed me around like a puppy at work. I had been on first shift, recently left my wife due to more than I care to go into right now, and got forced back to third shift because unions. I was in a pretty shitty mood due to being stuck back on third shift. Supervisor puts me with this cute girl, who's quite a bit younger than me, and she immediately starts yapping at me. She wouldn't let me walk to my toolbox without being right behind me. I'm oblivious to stuff like flirting. Mind you, I was a 33-year-old dude with 3 kids, not in the greatest shape, stuck living with my parents due to the oncoming divorce and being broke because of the ex, no vehicle and a metric ton of baggage. I never would have though that this cute-ass girl was flirting with me. Somehow we got K and the subject of ferrets and how I'd like to have one for my girls when we moved. She just so happens to have 3 of the little carpet sharks of her own. Says I have an extra cage and everything. I can help you find the right breeder or adopt whenever you are ready. Give me your number and I'll send you pics of my extra stuff. Again, me being completely oblivious and having 1 kajillion other things on my mind, gave her my number. I receive a text about halfway home that I didn't read because I don't text and drive. When I got home it and looked at the text, is said, "Hey, wanna go grab some food?" I then realized that for some fucking reason, this chick was into me. We've been together for almost 6 years now. Blind luck. She walked into a bar I was running in 1989 looking for a job. I hired her and we've been together ever since. Was a social awkward guy with no serious girl interaction ever. Decided to take a chance and started on a 1-year study in a small place where I didn't know anyone. Turns out, nobody else knew anyone either, so we just had to socialize. Found a girl within a week and 10 years later we now have 2 children and we are getting married next week. I also found a best friend there who will be my best man. Pro tip, if you feel stuck, change scenery completely and start over. Life is too short to waste on a situation you're not happy with. We were both in line for coffee. I said something, I don't remember what, just to get her attention. When she was looking at me I just said, "Hi, I'm the Dank Bank." She introduced herself. I asked if she wanted to sit with me while we drank our coffee. We chatted. I explained I was new to the area and didn't really know anyone or good stuff to do around here. She invited me to the weekend farmers market and gave me her number. I texted her the next day and asked if she wanted to get dinner. We did. That was our first proper date. Then we went to the farmers market with her friends. But we split off from them and made it a date thing. We hung out all day, and we decided we really like each other. Been dating ever since. We met at a student protest. The riot cops were charging, and we ran into a cafe to wait for things to die down a little. This sort of looked like a date to wait things out thing turned into an actual date. We kept doing interesting stuff together because it was so much fun to hang out, like going to museums, or shows, or picnics, or going dancing. And now we've been together for like 7 years. There have been tough moments. It's required work and effort. But it's been so worthwhile. I'll get back to you later. What was the thing you thought was a lie until you realized it was true? When I was 10, my mom was giving me the puberty talk. I thought she was lying and trying to scare me when she said that I'd wake up one day with blood in my underwear. My older uncle told me when I turned 30 buy a suit because you'll have a lot of funerals to attend. I'm now late 30s and been to 5 in the past few years. I read a tweet somewhere a long time ago that said PBS Kids bans the words stupid and dumb from their shows because they're hate words for the kiddies. It wasn't until I saw it in practice that it dawned on me that it might just be true. I have yet to find the tweet. I know it was in response to someone and I know the account the tweet was made on, but I would have to go way back. I thought one of my good friends killed 2 people in a hit and run. We knew he was a crazy aggressive driver. He lived a block from where the accident occurred. We knew he would have been coming home on that street at around that time. The witness description matched his vehicle. And he suddenly disappeared to Mexico 2 days after it happened. When he came back, he didn't have his vehicle. We knew somebody in our group must have tipped off the police, because when he came back a couple weeks later, he told us all about how he was questioned upon his return from Mexico. He said he went to go see his ailing grandpa, and they decided to stay a couple extra weeks so his mom could make plans for a lengthy visitation over the summer. He left his vehicle there so his mom could drive around in a safer, less Lexus-shaped car. They didn't have enough evidence to arrest him, his story checked out, and they let him go without incident. For years we thought he had gotten away with vehicular manslaughter. It was kind of the dark secret between us that we didn't bring up openly. We were all pretty certain he was guilty, and the police completely failed in thoroughly investigating him, probably because he came from an affluent family of lawyers. Turns out we were wrong. About 10 years after the fatal hit and run, some random old guy who lived 20 miles away was arrested for DUI hit and run. His vehicle matched the description of another recent hit and run. They did some digging to see just how many hit and runs this guy had, and they found evidence that would have put him at the one we thought our friend did. He pleaded guilty, and last I checked, faced 20+ years. So I'm conflicted. Do I owe my friend an apology for simply thinking he was guilty, and expressing that thought to other people who already felt the same way? Or do I just forego the apology, recognize I never brought it up to his face, and leave behind a chapter I'm sure he'd like to leave behind as well? That adults put their tongues in each other's mouths on purpose and that they like it. Legit thought the other girls in kindergarten were lying and it made me nauseous. Later, I realized the appeal. Much later. The fact that actor Paul Rudd is 50 years old but looks 25. This guy acting like he was crazy when I got to college. He was so over the top, and since I was at an artsy school, I thought it was an act. Later in the year he launched himself from a third-story balcony into the dining hall. Yeah, it wasn't an act. I thought reindeer were fictional like Santa Claus until I was about 18. That most actors for teenagers and children in movies and shows are much older than the people they portray. I didn't fully believe it for years after I was told. Saying I don't know makes people think you're smarter. After 20+ years of formal education, where that was simply an unacceptable answer, it's a huge adjustment to make. What are some good text-based subreddits to browse when you don't have Wi-Fi? Just a heads up, if you go to a subreddit and search self yes then sort by new, you'll only see text posts from that sub. Saved me a ton of data, and I wish I knew about it before. r/relationships if you're a slut for drama like I am. Some of my favorites. /r/life of Norman, a subreddit about writing small, fictional tales about a fictional character named Norman, a rather unremarkable fellow. /r/unresolved mysteries, one of my favorite subs about mysterious cases that have yet to be solved. /r/Amadeus Asters, a sort of museum for amas that have gone totally wrong. /r/ate the pasta, when people fall for copy pasta in the wild. /r/depth hub, a bit like /r/best offer for really in-depth discussions. /r/Reddit a fun little sub where people write scenes from Seinfeld based on prompts. /r/the gritty past, a great little subreddit about accounts from history not often talked about because of their tragic and often violent nature. /r/history anecdotes, pretty much speaks for itself, mostly content from the creator of the sub who also does TGP, but others contribute too. /r/fan theories, a great sub full of some pretty great theories about movies, shows, and books. r/AskReddit. r/best of legal advice. Yeah, I've always dealt with this issue as well. I feel like Reddit should introduce a low bandwidth button for mobile so that only low internet consuming posts are shown, so no pictures, videos, etc. etc. Only links and text. r/malicious compliance. r/pro revenge. /r/writing prompts/ I mean, if you want one that is purely text based, there's r/a. Edit, although it seems people have begun posting a lot of pictures since I last visited, so maybe it isn't as purely text based as it was last time I was there. r/creepy Wikipedia.